Good morning. This is Mitch Carty from the CIF Southern Section. In this video tutorial, I'm going to be explaining how to submit a financial report assuming you're the host school for a CIF Southern Section playoff game in the sports of volleyball, basketball, and football. You'll see here that I'm logged in on my main page of my CIF-SS home account. Scrolling to the bottom, you'll see that there's a section entitled Playoff Finances, in which games are listed for the games requiring action. Another way to find this list is to hover over the Finance tab in the left menu bar and scroll down to Playoff Finances. This will bring up the list of all of the games requiring financial action on behalf of your school. If you do not see these games, or you do not see the Playoff Finances section in the bottom of your main screen, then most likely you don't have permissions to view. If you do need permissions and your job responsibility requires you to submit playoff financials for the CIF Southern Section playoff contest, please contact your athletic director or administrator in charge of your CIF Southern Section home account. Let's get started. So using the games that we have listed here, we're going to be using girls volleyball as an example for this video. Clicking on the first game, we'll see that we're brought to a screen in which a message is provided to us. This message says that the visiting team has not yet submitted their financial information. The visiting team must submit their financials prior to the host submitting theirs, so that all of the income and expenses are captured at one time. If you arrive at this screen, then please be patient and allow the visitor at least 3 days, perhaps more, to submit all of their revenue and expenses for this game. If we click on the second game, we're brought to the screen in which we will be submitting our information. If you arrive at this screen, you can rest assured that the visitor has indeed filled out their financials, and it's now your turn to report your revenue and expenses. This is a girls' volleyball game, and in the top box, we're going to list all of the revenue. We're going to assume that we sold 200 general tickets and 100 student tickets. Moving down to the expense items, the first item listed is officials. To find the officials' costs, you can visit the CIF Southern Section Blue Book under Playoff Fees. Please note that there may be mileage required for the officials depending upon the unit that was assigned for the game. For the purposes of the video, we're going to use $235. Security, we're going to use $300. Although a physician is only required for football competitions, we'll go ahead and skip this one. Custodial, we'll enter $150. Facility rental is a situation in which the host school would be using a venue that is not on their school campus. Facility rental is something you'll want to discuss with the Southern Section office prior to securing the venue, as we need to review whether the venue is large enough to accommodate the anticipated crowd and whether the cost is reasonable. We're going to assume for this video that the host school is using their gym, so we'll skip it. Scorer, timer, announcer is the amount that you paid, the scorer, the timer, and the announcer combined. We'll use $150. Ticket takers will use $50, and ticket sellers will use $50. Please note on the ticket sellers that it's absolutely mandatory for the folks that are selling tickets, upon receiving cash or credit card payment for the game, they must issue a ticket to the patron. This is imperative. Now that we've listed all of our revenue and expenses, we're ready to save changes. Upon saving changes, you'll see that the calculations have been captured at the bottom of the revenue box and the bottom of the expense box. But we're not done yet. You can see your changes have been successfully updated. Please click Final Posting to view the financial report and send to the Southern Section office. Let's go ahead and final post. Upon clicking Final Posting, you'll see you're brought to a screen in which all of the revenue and expenses have been captured for not only your school, but also for the visiting school. We can see that the visiting school did in fact do some pre-sale, and they've also reported their mileage. We also see the numbers that we just reported, the revenue, and the expense items that we listed. In total, we have a total of $3,215 in revenue and a total of $1,047.50 in expense. Being that the revenue is higher than the expense, this game has realized a profit. If we scroll down, we'll see that the game was indeed a profit and that 20% of the net proceeds will be returned to the host, 20% of the net proceeds will go to the visiting school, and 60% will come to the CIF Southern Section office. If we scroll further down to the bottom, we'll see the scenarios and how the distribution of monies should occur. There are two scenarios which may occur. The top one is if the host has indeed collected the visitor's pre-sale. So we see that the visitor did do pre-sale of $715. If the host did collect this $715, then the host owes the visitor $546. This is the split of $433.50 plus their expenses that they're out $112.50 for a total of $546. More commonly, if the host has not collected the visitor's pre-sale, most often the visitor, if they did pre-sale, they just hold this money and wait to see what happens with the overall finances of the game. So if the host has not collected the visitor's pre-sale, the host owes the visitor a negative $169. The reason why this number is negative because the visitor actually now owes the host. This calculation comes from the split plus the expenses less the pre-sale that the visitor is currently holding for a negative $169 or $169 that the visitor now owes the host. And then the host owes CIF Southern Section $1,350. At the bottom of the screen, you'll also see that the host owes CIF Southern Section 90 general tickets in return, as well as 100 student tickets. For the purposes of this video, we've assumed that the Southern Section has issued the host 300 general tickets to sell and 200 student tickets to sell. So, if they were issued 300 general and sold 200, you would assume that they would owe 100. The reason why the host school owes 90 is because the complimentary tickets for this game, of which for volleyball it is 10, have been automatically calculated in the formula. And then using the student tickets, since this host school was issued 200 student tickets and sold 100, they owe the Southern Section 100 back. It's critical that we receive all of these unsold tickets back to our office, as it's the only way for us to reconcile the revenue that occurred in the game. That concludes this video. We hope it was helpful, and if you have any further questions, please contact the office at 562-493-9500. Thanks.